Welcome to 100 Yards of Football. If you like the video today, please comment and share it. We'll surely appreciate it here on 100 Yards Football. I'd like to give special thanks to my producer, Mr. Logan Landers, for making it happen. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. In today's video, we're going to preview the Washington Commandos for the 2024 season. And joining me is my guest, a very talented writer out of FirstRoundMark.com, Mr. William Yanish III, coming to us live out of Grand Junction, Colorado. So, if you like the video today, please comment and share it. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. Mr. Yanish, tell us about Washington and the offense that they're going to have this year with the young man out of LSU, Mr. Jaden Daniels. You have the floor, sir.
All right, man. Well, this team right here is something that I think, new ownership put together, the management, the experience, the head coach, and Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, the vertical minded, offensive minded, quarterback, whisper of, an offensive coordinator. And obviously, putting all, their eggs in a basket with Jaden Daniels and some of the things they've done. I mean, they've added Austin Eckler, the San Diego Chargers. I mean, they've added Zach Ertz. They brought in all, this kind of their own leadership all around on, not only offense, but on defense as well. And, Jaden Daniels, I am one of the most critical analyst on exactly what he has going. I see this guy, he's, 6'4", he's got, this arm, can throw the deep ball. I mean, he is one heck of a player, but I also see, this frame, and I see him trying to get extra yards and, getting slammed and, taking hits and the punishment. I think, there's going to be a lot to this, like when Cam Newton first came in the league, they were talking about longevity. Well, I think they need to put this team around Jaden Daniels and get the best few years out of him right at the beginning, and obviously, there's Terry McLaurin. He gets 1,000 yards no matter who the quarterback is. It doesn't matter, and he is going to do well with Jaden Daniels. First round pick John Dodson out of Penn State. I mean, I had already mentioned, Zach Ertz. They brought in Ben Sinnott from Kansas State, and one of the, top tight ends in the 2023 draft. And this guy can do it all. I mean, he can catch, run, block. It doesn't matter. I mean, I definitely had high grade on him. And it's all going to be what they piece together here. I mentioned Austin Eckler. The thing is, I think he's hitting about the wrong side, almost 30, as a running back. However, like I said, just having that solid game to begin with and bringing in and having Jaden Daniels, what they need to do is Cliff Kingsbury needs to whisper in his ear and tell him how to, not put himself in the danger that he does, because this looks like a team here that has had 30, different starting quarterbacks, since their last Super Bowl in 1992. And, one of the most storied franchises in the NFL. But I mean, I think after a while, they have to, like I mentioned, the new ownership coming in and, that's sick of the winning attitude. They need to bring, something back solid to Washington. I mean, this is a team. There's going to be so many questions around it. And I mentioned, the other parts of the NFC East, the Eagles, Cowboys, just everything that they're doing there, and the NFC in general. And, like I mentioned before, the arms race and what it means. They have to decide who this team is from the get-go, and they have to stick with that to actually put in some competitiveness into the NFC, get into those playoffs, into the dogfight that it's going to be, between the Niners and Eagles. It's starting to look like the late 80s, early 90s, in the NFC, everybody trying to, but like I said, they just need to do what they do, concentrate on winning, and let this offense roll, and they can be good. I see the potential here. How's that defense look, man?
I'm gonna say this. I was very surprised Dan Quinn got the head coaching job with the Washington Commanders. I was very surprised from that standpoint that I thought Washington could have got someone a little bit better. But I would say with this, Dan Quinn resume does have a Super Bowl. I want to say a Super Bowl game on him when he was with the Atlanta Falcons. We all know about the collapse. But the one thing I take away from Dan Quinn when he was here in Atlanta was that he had talented teams, but he still, for some reason, didn't get over the hump. I don't know, was it just from a coaching standpoint? Because I thought he was a player's coach. And it went real quickly here in Atlanta from point A to point F. But he did an outstanding job as the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator until the playoff game last year against Green Bay, which Dallas gave up 48 points in that game. That's why I was so shocked that he got the Washington job. But I would say this, he's coming into a defense that's, when you look at it, it's pretty good, man. Their defensive line, I still think, got two of the best tackles in the game in Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne. Those young men are quality football players. They drafted Johnny Newman out of the University of Illinois, who I consider a shining star, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Then I think about him bringing over Doris Armstrong that played very well with Dallas last year. So their D-line is going to be one of the best in the league. Then I'm looking at the linebacker position. I think he made a great acquisition when he got Bobby Wagner, who was with him in Seattle. And Bobby Wagner was the defensive position. And then you look at Bobby Wagner, you bring in an experienced veteran that's played on the Super Bowl team, that's got 1,700 tackles in his career, 33 sacks, 13 interceptions. That guy's going to be the mouthpiece of the defense. And then the secondary, even though they struggled a little bit, I still like Emmanuel Forbes. The guy was an excellent football player at Mississippi State. In his first year, he had some trouble, no question about it. But I think he's going to make that jump in his second year. I like the acquisition of bringing over Jeremy Chin from Carolina, who I consider one of the unknown better safeties in the game. So I think when you look at Dan Quinn being a defensive guy, I think Washington is going to take it up a notch defensively. The only question I have is this with the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels. And you brought up some good points offensively. Can he play 17 games healthy? That's my only question mark. Because last year, Washington, as an offensive unit, I think they gave up a record, I want to say 60 sacks. I know Sam Howell got hit a lot. Other than that, it's going to be interesting in Washington. Cliff Kingsbury's offensive coordinator, that's interesting to me. Dan Quinn as the defensive coordinator, that's very interesting to me. But the Commanders have some very talented players. And if Jaden Daniels stay healthy, their defense is going to be there. And their defense is going to be better next year in the NFC East. Your final words, Mr. William Yanish, today here on 100 Yards of Football.
2.91 seconds, I believe, was Jaden Daniels from snap to throw time. 2.91 seconds. It's almost 3 seconds, man. That is an absolute eternity. Like, what's he doing back there all that time? And and you mentioned all those sacks. We just might end up seeing Sam Hartman come in. That's one of the best undrafted free agents at quarterback in a while. Will be Sam Hartman, and need to watch that, man. This offensive line needs to get together and try not to kill their quarterback.
My final words here. My final words here on 100 Yards Football. I'd like to give special thanks to our producer, Mr. Logan Landers. DC, baby. Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers. I'm busting loose. Well, I tell you what, Dan Quinn, this your second chance. And now with Magic Johnson a part owner, and you got a new owner in Josh Harris, you better perform in the first season in a tough NFC East. Special thanks again to our very talented producer, Mr. Logan Landers, for making it happen today here on 100 Yards of Football. I've been your host, Vincent Turner, and my guest, William Yanish III. Y'all be blessed here on 100 Yards of Football.